Every day, all around us, disasters are waiting to strike. But what if we could prepare ourselves for the worst-case scenario? There may be nothing quite as frightening as Mother Nature. So whether it's an earthquake, a fire, or a flood, this is how to survive. How to survive a flood. The water is rising, your home, and everything in it is soon to be submerged under a murky urban river. The first and most important step to surviving a flood is to evacuate immediately once advised to do so. The people who often fall victim to floods are those who foolishly believe themselves capable of withstanding the incoming water. Do not stop to gather your valuable belongings. Take only your emergency supplies and head to whatever shelter you have been designated by local authorities. Now, it's important to point out just how deadly water can be, even when it appears to be shallow. Just 6 inches of water is enough to cause most cars to stall. Double that 6 into 12 inches, and most vehicles will actually start to float away. You should not try to cross standing water, but if you simply have no other choice, use a stick to measure the depth in front of you as you make your way. If the water is moving, whatever you do not enter it, no matter how great a swimmer you are. 1 foot wrong, and you could be whisked away to a most painful death. Follow the rules, and you should safely arrive at a nearby shelter where authorities can assist you. Should leaving your location not be possible, you must get to high ground. Whether it be the roof or the upper floors of a high-rise building, make your way up. Though if you are inside a high-rise, do not use the elevator. During disasters, those things can be dangerous, but more on elevators a little later. Once you are high and dry, wait for rescue. Whatever you do, don't try to swim your way to safety. Flooding may not seem all that common, yet 90% of all natural disasters in North America involve flooding in some form. Though as you're about to find out, not all natural disasters are created equally. How to survive a tornado. You might feel as though you're about to become a guest star in a 90s Bill Paxton movie, but tornadoes are very real, and they can be extremely dangerous. If you find yourself in the path of one of nature's most frightening creations, the first thing you must do is find protection for your head. If you're inside your home, you may have time to grab your bike helmet. If you don't have one, don't worry. Things as simple as a kitchen pan large enough to cover your head will help. Once your trendy new headwear is in place, get to a windowless room. A room without windows is the safest place in the house. Once inside, crouch down in the corner, cover your head, and wait for it all to blow over. If you're unlucky and find yourself outside during a tornado, do not seek shelter under a bridge or underpass. These areas can turn into wind tunnels, and you could be sucked right out. Instead, you want to find a ditch or a trench, lay down face first, cover your head, and pray that the twister flies right above you. How to survive a falling elevator. We've all been there, staring at the steel, whilst inside the small box we trust to take us up and down the skyscrapers of the world. If it were to suddenly fall 20 stories, though, we'd be doomed, right? Let's do our best to avoid that scenario. First, despite it being the rumored best way to survive the plunge of a falling elevator, do not attempt to jump at the last second before impact. People falsely believe that this is the best way to ensure survival, and that by hopping up just as the lift smashes into the ground, you can avoid what would have been serious injury. This technique is actually impossible unless you possess powers similar to that of a Marvel superhero. With no cape on your back, your best bet is to lie on it. Place yourself flat on the floor of the elevator, spreading your body as wide across the surface as possible. Protect your head and hope for the best. Because if we're being honest, even with this method inside a falling elevator, the impact is still going to hurt. But don't worry, this doesn't mean you always have to take the stairs from this day forward. Modern elevators have a variety of safety features, including electromagnetic brakes in case the cables were to snap, even if that event in itself is remarkably unlikely. How to survive a fire. There may be no element as fearsome as fire. Once flames begin engulfing an object, they can be nearly impossible to stop. So what happens if you wake up and find your house being cooked to a crisp? You want to drop down to your hands and knees. Harmful smoke and poisonous gases will collect along the ceiling. You can do your best to avoid these by crawling toward the nearest exit. When you reach a closed door, always touch-check the temperature of the door handle. If it's hot, you're going to have to turn back. Never open one of these doors. When you do find a door that's safe to open, be sure to do so slowly and be alert, because if there is any smoke or flames present on the other side, you're going to promptly shut that door. If there is no way out, seal yourself inside a room without fire, cover any cracks or vents with cloth or tape if you have any on hand, and wait for rescue. In a worst-case scenario, your clothes may catch fire. If this happens, stop, drop, and roll. This calls for you to cover your face with your hands, hit the ground as fast as you can, and roll until the fire stops burning. If this isn't possible, use a blanket or cloth to smother the fire. There is no easy way to defeat one of nature's most destructive elements, but it is possible to survive it if you follow these instructions. How to survive a devastating earthquake. Earthquakes are some of the most unpredictable disasters known to man. They are capable of wiping out cities and killing hundreds of thousands of people in an instant. If you feel the ground beneath you start to shake, the first thing you'll want to do is check your surroundings. Let's say you're inside your home. It is vital that you move away from windows, outer walls, hanging objects, and fireplaces. If the room you find yourself in has a strong, sturdy table or desk, get underneath it. Protect your head and face. And despite what you may have heard in the past, do not stand in a doorway. If you're in a high-rise, do the same. And we know we shouldn't have to say this again, but do not use the elevators. If you're outside when the shaking starts, try to get to an area free from buildings, street lamps, telephone poles, and other structures that could fall and crush you. If you happen to be near the shore and the shaking lasts longer than 20 seconds, it's time to head inland. You must get at least 2 miles in fast or to land that is at least 30 meters above sea level. Why? Because you may be about to experience the next level in natural disasters caused by earthquakes, a tsunami. Remember the flood we learned to survive earlier? Those tips are going to come in handy. A tsunami is essentially one seriously angry wave of water, but if you get inland in time and remember all of your survival tips, you'll have every chance of avoiding those waves and living to see another day. Speaking of waves, how to survive a shark attack? Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the water, Mother Nature gives us one of its most infamous killers, the man-eating shark. Sharks may be misunderstood, and when sharing water with one of these animals, it's important to stay calm because sharks are attracted to sudden movement and splashing. If you were by some chance to find yourself face-to-face with an aggressive jaws, your best defense is offense. Fight back, aim for the eyes, the gills, and the snout. Hit a shark square in one of these spots, and it may just be enough to get the awesome ocean creature looking for a bite elsewhere. While we understandably have no control over all of these disasters, we can always arm ourselves with the knowledge necessary to endure them. Thanks for watching, and for hopefully surviving with us.